Something is wrong on Saturn 3.
Okay, time for another movie review. This time around, we're doing another kind of overlooked 1970s sci-fi movie, although it's actually from 1980.
Yeah, but it's 70-ish the way it feels.
Yeah.
This one, I love this one, man. I've seen it many times as a kid on cable. It's called Saturn 3. Kirk Douglas, Farrah Fawcett, Harvey Keitel, a young Harvey Keitel.
Yeah.
When you see him, you're like, damn, that's Harvey Keitel.
Yeah, it was very weird to see him in this movie because he's really young. I'm just used to seeing him as an older guy.
Yeah, he's young and dashing, and he's a villain in this one.
Yeah.
This movie actually was kind of a response to Alien. Alien was a success, and this came out 8 months later. I remember seeing it in Fangoria magazine, and it's just, oh man, I want to see this one. But I couldn't get my dad to take me for one reason or another, and then I had to wait until it came out on cable. And I liked it. It was really good. Kind of the same premise as Alien and Blade Runner, where Earth is kind of a bad place. There are no real nation states. It's just companies and corporations. And you got Farrah Fawcett and Kirk Douglas out on Titan, I think it is.
Around the third moon of Saturn.
Third moon of Saturn. And they're working for this company. They got tattoos on their faces. The little company logo, and their job is to grow food underneath the ground. They're doing it hydroponically.
Yeah.
Grow food for Earth because, Earth is kind of barren evidently at this point. And they're there and there. It's kind of an allegory for the Garden of Eden. Kirk Douglas's name is Adam. Farrah Fawcett's kind of playing an Eve type character who she's never been to Earth, and she's kind of naive and probably 30 something years, younger than him. And they're in a relationship. And then a serpent shows up in the form of Harvey Keitel. And Harvey Keitel's this bad dude, and he assembles this robot. You find out that he's basically, a cyber stalker, that he had been stalking Farrah Fawcett somehow or another. He knew she was out there. And he killed the dude that was supposed to be on the mission and took his place.
Yeah. And
brought that robot with him. He gets there under false pretenses so he can get close to her. It's a pretty cool flick. Mayhem ensues. Mayhem ensues.
Well, the movie had kind of a troubled production history.
Yeah.
It was made as a result of the success of Alien and earlier Star Wars, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, it was supposed to be directed by John Barry, who was the production designer on Superman and might have done some work on Star Wars too.
Yeah, I think it was Empire Strikes Back.
He worked on Empire Strikes Back. Now, for whatever reason, I can't remember exactly what the reason was. I don't know if there was creative differences, but John Barry was taken off the project. Now, he died not long afterward, but the project was then given to Stanley Donen, who had been the producer. Now, Stanley Donen had never directed a sci-fi or horror movie before. He was actually known for doing musicals. He had done Singin' in the Rain, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, Funny Face, that kind of thing. So it's kind of a strange juxtaposition. And I should say that Saturn 3 is generally pretty poorly reviewed.
Yeah.
But now I'm not going to say, obviously it's not as good as Alien. It's not as good as some of the other sci-fi that came out for the period. But actually, I can understand why some people didn't like it, but I actually thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a pretty good sci-fi movie for the time. The sets are really nice. I really like the sets of the base where they live.
The sets are kind of in between, say, the Death Star and Alien.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool the way it's set up. There's a lot of hallways and little rooms, and in between the hallways and rooms, you see the interior parts of the cave. And it looks kind of cool. The robot looks good. It's a robot of its time, but it was futuristic in the day.
Yeah.
Harvey Keitel's pressure suits, he comes in his pressure suit. He's got a couple of little leather pressure suit outfits that he wears. Actually looks very high quality in the Blu-ray. Some people have said that Kirk Douglas's and Farrah Fawcett's costumes kind of look 70-ish. And they do in the DVD and VHS transfers, and on YouTube they did. But when you see the Blu-ray, which I have the Blu-ray, you can see the texture of the materials. They're very high quality sets, very high quality costumes. To me, it looks 80s, And Harvey Keitel's he had these green, looks like green leather pants.
Yeah.
But when you see it in Blu-ray, it's actually they're kind of like PVC green metal flake.
Yeah.
Is what it looked like, or pearlescent looking pressure suit type pants. It looked really cool, I thought. There were problems in the script. I think they ran out of money because it ended too quickly. That's the problem. There was good build up. It had a good beginning, a middle, but the end seemed like 15 minutes of action were missing.
Yeah, it did seem a little rushed.
Yeah, it seemed like they just said, okay, we got to end this movie.
There was a thing where, now, the amount of money that this movie was supposed to get, I think at some point during the production company was like, no, we're going to make this other movie that we think, it was actually Raise the Titanic, that they actually had more faith in as a project. So they took some money away from Saturn III and gave it to the other movie, Raise the Titanic, which was also a flop. Saturn III didn't actually do that bad at the box office, considering it wasn't a hugely expensive movie to make. I think it kind of occupies a similar kind of space as The Black Hole, maybe, where it's it's a similar kind of, the story isn't really similar, really, but...
In quality of production, it's kind of like Black Hole.
It's kind of similar in quality and similar in the sense that it seems to have inspired either... I don't know if anybody loves this movie, like it's their favorite movie ever.
It's a cult. It's a cult movie.
Yeah, but it does have a lot of a cult following. But then a lot of people really seem to think it was pretty bad. But I don't think it was any cheesier. Actually, I think it was less cheesy than The Black Hole.
Yeah.
Less cheesy.
Less cheesy than Black Hole.
And like I said, not a great sci-fi movie, but really I think the premise of it is a good premise. I like the premise of the main robot, Hector, being an extension of a psychopath. Yeah. I think is an intriguing idea.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil too much. This is something that you have to see for yourself. This movie deserves to be watched. It deserves to be remembered. And when you see it in Blu-ray, because you can watch this for free on YouTube. Just search for it. You'll find somebody who posted it with a Cyrillic name. It's in Russia. He posted it. It's watchable, that version. But the Blu-ray version, the sets and all the props, it looks so much better. They did spend money on this movie. It's just like I said before, it's as if about 10 minutes of the end are missing. That's all. It always felt that way to me.
Yeah.
It ended a little too quickly. There wasn't enough action at the very end.
Yeah.
But other than that, decent movie, especially for its time. And I think in some ways ahead of its time. Like Harvey Keitel plays the villain, and I really like this character. He's come from kind of a broken down version of the world. They take lots of drugs. They're psychos in a way. They're into instant gratification. They don't have any social skills. There are a lot of technological skills though, so they're kind of like some of these kids you see with their faces buried into a cell phone and just social media, but they can't deal with you face to face. Harvey Keitel is like an extreme version of that, almost kind of like autistic in a certain way. But he's also hostile. No social skills at all. He just basically goes up to Farrah and goes, "I like your body. Can I use it?" And then when she says no, he's just like, "That's a crime." Because everything for them is like porn and instant gratification.
Yeah. And he feels entitled to her when he gets there. And he makes the point. And in some way, I think that some people are creeped out by the fact that there's a sexual relationship between Kirk Douglas and Farrah Fawcett. But in a way, that kind of plays into the movie because Harvey Keitel, who's much younger, presumably handsomer, I would guess. Yeah. So he comes to there almost like you said, a serpent in the Garden of Eden, like to tempt her. Right. Away from her older, quote unquote, useless guy who's maybe come into his retirement or whatever. Yeah. But I kind of like that they had that dynamic going. Yeah. I don't want to ruin too much of it, but yeah, I did like that. There's a little bit of Frankenstein in this too.
There's a transhuman element going on here too, because not only is Harvey Keitel kind of futuristic and weird and dysfunctional, he's also a cyborg.
Yeah, it's sort of.
Yeah, he has a port in the back of his head, and he can wirelessly communicate and program this. We are calling it a robot, Hector. But Hector is also a cyborg. Inside of its body is like a 3-foot-long vat of artificially grown brain material. Right. That's its central
So it has an organic
component, and it's learning from him, because normally it would take decades to properly, evidently, according to Adam, takes decades to properly program an AI robot, but he says, no, not with this one, and so it's going to be kind of like a brain-to-brain communication. And Keitel's character, his name is Benson, Captain Benson. Captain Benson says he only learns what I tell him to learn, or what I let him learn from me. But he mentions later on that Hector finds out some of his secrets having to do with murders that were committed, and he says, block that. That was an unintentional leakage.
Yeah.
So
he's having brain leakage.
Yeah, so Hector is learning things by accident and things that Benson doesn't want to teach him. And you find out that part of the reason why a lot of stuff goes wrong is that Benson failed the course on how to manage and program.
Yeah. He wasn't supposed to
wasn't
go on this
supposed to be
mission,
there.
remember?
Yeah, I've heard in some of the comment sections, well, why didn't he know this? He built that robot. He didn't build it. He assembled it.
He failed
the test, right.
That's why he didn't go. Another guy was supposed to go.
He was unworthy to even be there.
Captain James, that was the guy that was supposed to go at the beginning of the movie.
Adam mentions that, I may be old and I'm not cool enough to kill people, because he was saying that cool guys back on Earth actually killed people.
Yeah. His character
Benson
hadn't been to Earth for a very long time, so we're never shown what Earth is like.
Right.
So we don't know. It's just all implication.
It's evidently not that good. And Farrah Fawcett's character has never been to Earth. She wasn't born there. But the movie deserves to be watched. And I recommend the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray version of this movie looks 3 times better than
it really does look nice. The sets are very nice.
Yeah, it looks a lot better. So it makes a lot better impression on you than the free YouTube version.
Well, it looks cheap.
It looks very cheap.
If you watch like a cheap transfer of it.
Yeah, it looks really cheap. It looks about on par with a bad transfer of Logan's Run. Yeah. Or maybe like an episode of Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
But
it looks like a TV.
Yeah, it looks like something made for TV. But that's not the way the Blu-ray looks. The Blu-ray in certain scenes looks modern. It looks like something from 2000.
I like the use of blue. I like all the blue lights and stuff like that. It's really cool looking. I mean, obviously a lot of it is more atmospheric than functional, but they do that in a lot of sci-fi movies. If it looks cool and it doesn't matter.
The worst part of the movie was the external shots of outer space with the ships.
And because a lot of it was miniatures and stuff.
It was miniatures, and it was on par with, say, like a Japanese Toho flick from the 70s. It didn't have the flames going in the wrong direction or the fire going up. It didn't have that.
It's not that bad.
It wasn't that bad. But the outer space shots were inferior even for 1980.
It didn't look as good as Star Wars, obviously.
No, and one of the shots, I was almost thinking of Star Crash, one of them.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say it was that bad, but it was that similar level.
Well, now, when he goes through the rings of Saturn in this, they did it with some mirrors of little foam rocks floating on water and the camera going in between them. It was kind of a psychedelic effect. Yeah. But it didn't look realistic. That's one thing I did like about the movie, is that when it kind of overreached, instead of going for realism, they just went for psychedelia. Yeah. Just to trip you out.
Which, I actually didn't mind that.
Back then. Yeah, it was a good option.
No, it didn't look real, but it still looked kind of cool. Like, it looked stylized.
Yeah, that's what they tried to do.
Which, that's fair enough. They can do that. Yeah. And the same kind of thing with the design of Hector, the robot, which I actually really liked. I liked that he was very, that was...
Just industrial kind of looking.
It was obviously a guy in a suit. Yeah. So they just built this suit around him. So it was just this big hulking, and it almost had, like, musculature, kind of, made out of wires and tubes and stuff, which was kind of cool. And he didn't really have a head, which I thought made him creepier.
Yeah, well, he gets a head later on.
Yeah. we're not gonna spoil that.
Okay.
I want to mention too
that's not Harvey Keitel's voice, and I didn't know that.
Yeah. Now, I didn't realize while I was watching it, because the way that Harvey Keitel's character of Benson is in this movie, he seems very, he's obviously a psychopath. He's not socially adept. No. He's not, a conversation. He comes across as very cold, very sterile.
He's talking like he's a robot.
He's talking as though he's a robot, which to me,
He sounds like a walking YouTube comment section.
Yeah, without screaming.
Yeah, he does kind of yell a little bit, but he's no social skills.
Right.
Yeah.
So to me, I didn't know until later on, but to me that just kind of played into his character, and it does actually kind of sound a little bit like Harvey Keitel's voice.
I thought it was Harvey Keitel.
I haven't heard him in a movie in a while, so I couldn't really remember. So it didn't weird me out or anything. But then later on, I found out that he was completely dubbed.
Completely dubbed.
By a British actor called Roy Dotrice, who I think he's been in Game of Thrones and stuff. He's an old man, but he's been in tons of shit.
It was a great dub job, though.
Yeah, no, he didn't do a British accent. He did like a transatlantic sort of accent. Because the problem, evidently, was that after Saturn III was shot, the director decided that he didn't like Harvey Keitel's Brooklyn accent. He didn't think it fit in with...
Ain't that a bitch?
So evidently they asked Harvey Keitel to come back and overdub his lines with a more neutral accent, but he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So they got someone else in to dub him over.
It's funny because he's doing a good Harvey Keitel impression.
It didn't occur to me that was
it sounds like him. Sounds like him doing a transatlantic accent.
And it did fit in with the character, so it didn't immediately, it wasn't off-putting
Although
or anything, not to me.
I think a Brooklyn accent also would have fit with that character and the way that they were trying to describe the way Earth was. Maybe Earth, they were saying that Earth was pretty bad. Well, maybe kind of like a Brooklyn gangster mobster kind of a accent might have worked. A high-tech cyborg
it's hard to say.
Guy from Brooklyn might have worked.
I can see why he made that directorial decision.
I think they wanted him to be a little more alien.
That's what I mean. And that's how he came across. He came across as almost inhuman because when he first came to the planet, I had seen this movie many years ago, but I had kind of forgotten what happened in it. So when we watched it again for the review, when he first got to the planet and started talking, I'm like, is he a robot? Like, is he, the guy on the ship in Alien that's a cyborg. But I was like, is he supposed to be a cyborg because he's talking like that? But in a way, it made him creepier. It made him seem a little bit more otherworldly. Yeah. So I don't think that was necessarily a bad decision, even though it was kind of a what the fuck kind of decision.
Yeah. He wasn't a robot, but he was a cyborg in the way that he was a man with cybernetic implants. And he was a technophile, and his job was to program robots, but he failed the test. He wasn't as good as he thought he was.
That's why he didn't get sent.
That's why he didn't get sent, but he made sure he was going to go.
Yeah.
And it was to get at Farah.
Yeah. I don't think that they specifically mentioned that in the movie, that's why he went on that particular thing, but I guess that's implied.
It's implied because he expects her to be there.
Because he knows that she's there.
About her when he gets there.
Yeah. I also want to mention too, since we're talking about Farrah Fawcett, a lot of the international marketing for this movie, particularly the poster and stuff like that, had a very famous image of Farrah Fawcett in this crazy sci-fi fetishy Barbarella-y kind of looking outfit and this big teased hair and everything like that.
It was from a deleted scene that's on the Blu-ray.
Yeah. Now, if you watch the movie, just the regular cut of the movie, that scene is not in there. Yeah. But on the Blu-ray, the deleted scene is there. Now, I believe she asked for it to be taken out.
And they took it out.
And then the director thought, maybe we should take that out. And in a way, I'm glad they took it out.
Made the movie a little more serious, a little stronger.
Yeah, because I think that scene was unnecessary. And I think had you left that scene in, then, it was bad enough that Farrah Fawcett, she'd been on Charlie's Angels. She was a pinup and everything like that. So she was already going to get accusations of that's why she's in this movie because we want teenage boys to see it and you know you get to see her boobies and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a topless flash. It's not.
Yeah, she's not like running around naked.
No.
Most of the movie she just has regular clothes on.
Yeah.
There is a flash of boob. You do get to see her boobs.
Not a big deal though.
But it's not a big.
It's mostly Kirk Douglas running around naked.
Yeah.
They said they couldn't get his clothes on.
They couldn't get him to keep his clothes.
Kirk, put your clothes on. No, I'm very unconscious, but I'm going to keep it like this.
He's very.
And then Harvey Keitel wanted to eat dinner with him with his shirt off.
Yeah.
Evidently, that's some behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, that's what we heard about it. But Kirk Douglas, they couldn't get him to keep his clothes on. He's running around like naked all the time. But so.
Naked, and he was in good shape for 64 years old.
Yeah, I think he was 64 when this was filmed. But so I think I'm glad that they took that out because I think you take Farrah's character more seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see her boobs. Yeah, it's like her and Kirk have a
sexual thing. That was just from the time, though.
But it's not. I didn't find it egregious, and she didn't come off like a bimbo, which I liked.
Just normal girl.
Like she didn't come across like a genius or anything like that. Like they weren't trying to make her a scientist or anything.
No.
But she just comes across like a normal person, and like I said, I kind of like that even though it's, Garden of Eden metaphor and the serpent and everything like that, that doesn't, even though the serpent is supposed to be the tempter and everything, the storyline doesn't necessarily go the way that you'd think that would be implied with that metaphor happening.
Yeah, I'd have to say, Farrah Fawcett couldn't act her way out of a paper bag. She
Not
just can't.
really.
But this is her best work.
She was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
When she did some dramas later on in the 80s, like The Burning Bed, which is about spousal abuse and stuff like that. I think she was pretty good in that.
She got better than she was.
So I think she got better over the years.
And this was before the Hollywood cocaine monster got a hold of her, too.
Yeah.
So she
was totally passable in this.
Yeah.
Nothing she did stood out as being cringeworthy. She just seemed like a normal person.
She wasn't being crazy, yeah.
She wasn't being crazy. I didn't get the sense that she was just in it as tits and ass. I mean,
No.
she was in it as a real person, as a real character.
But this character is no Ripley from Alien.
Well, no.
No.
She's obvious. She's still a little bit of a damsel in distress, but not to an unrealistic degree.
Right.
I mean, she is a little bit sheltered.
Well, she wasn't.
She's lived out on this moon pretty much her whole life.
Yeah.
I guess is what they imply. Or she has never been to Earth at any rate.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever say where she was born or where she's from.
Somewhere else, but not Earth.
Yeah. But she's just lived out here in this idyllic kind of existence with Kirk Douglas. And
we're also kind of led to believe that, there, like I said before, there are no nation states. They're property of this company. They have tattoos on their faces.
Yeah.
They may be slaves, for all we know.
Yeah.
They may be transferring them around wherever they need them at the time.
wherever they need them, yeah.
Because Adam, Kirk Douglas, he's talking about retirement day and retirement. What are they talking about? Do they kill him on that day?
Yeah, that's never specifically.
Never really, yeah.
But that could be the implication. It could be like a
They
reference to Logan's Run,
and for all we know, they're clones.
Yeah, they could be that too. There could be a lot going on in there that we don't know about.
Right.
Because, they don't set up the whole society. They don't set up what exactly is going on. But they just give you a little bit of information and you can kind of fill in the gaps yourself, for the story. So like I said, even though, I have read some positive reviews of this, but most of the reviews are fairly negative. But
most of them are by people who are not sci-fi fans, they're young people who are kind of taking the movie out of the context of the day, too. I
didn't think it was all that bad. And like I said, I think it came out pretty decent for the amount of difficulties that the production went through.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that it was directed by somebody that had never done a sci-fi movie before, it's a pretty respectable... it's kind of a ripoff of Alien. No, I wouldn't even call it a ripoff.
It's not perfect, but it was better than a lot of the sci-fi trash that just doesn't exist anymore from that time.
Yeah,
because a lot of that shit's just thrown away. Look
at all look at all the crappy sci-fi that came out. Like you mentioned, Star Crash before, which was
those have been preserved.
Although that one is funny as hell.
Well, those were preserved because they were so bad that they had to just be kept for posterity.
Next to Star Crash, Saturn 3 looks like fucking Citizen Kane.
Yeah. Like I said, though, earlier, this movie really could have been something if there was about 15 more minutes of exciting material at the end. I think it would have been.
They could have bolstered the ending somewhat, stretched it out a little bit, give it more suspense.
And I think a lot of the modern complaints about this movie would vanish if there was something at the end, like an end kind of like Terminator. You know what I mean? The way this... I don't want to spoil it. It's just that there wasn't enough payoff. There was a lot of build-up, not enough payoff.
I agree with that. The ending was a little abrupt.
Right. So I think the movie is good.
It's
in
worth
the context
watching.
Of the
if
time.
You like sci-fi from that time, I definitely think it's worth watching.
Yeah.
It's not a classic, obviously, but...
I look at it as a Alien franchise and Blade Runner franchise spin-off movie. Is that it's happening in that same universe, but out on a...
But out way out in the boonies.
Okay, like
That's actually a good way of
That's how I kind of look at this movie.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like I said, if you're into sci-fi from that era, it's worth watching.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that bad.
No, it was good.
It's pretty good.
It's all right.
Okay, so that will do it for our latest movie review. Remember, if you like the show, to like, share, subscribe on all your social media. And if you'd like to support the show, remember to check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/13o'clock, or go to our blog, which is 13o'clockpodcast.wordpress.com, and there's a link in the sidebar to a PayPal account if you'd like to give a one-time donation. Also, remember to check out our regular episodes that come out every Tuesday and our movie reviews that come out every Friday. And until next time, Bye.